What's really good? What's really good? What's really good? Welcome back to another Wednesday night live with the Sanchez Show. As always, I'm your host Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the podcast, streaming on YouTube, Kick, Instagram, and Facebook every Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. And then on Monday nights, Real Fans, Real Talk. If you missed this past Monday's episode, go on YouTube, check out the archives. It was a great episode. You will not be disappointed. So we got a lot of NBA stuff to get into tonight. We got second round of the draft tonight. We've got obviously reactions to the Giannis trade, Julius Randle going to Brooklyn, Austin Reeves' new contract, what that means. A lot going on, along with the draft last night, reactions to that. And then as we transition free agency starting next week, if you're not already, make sure you follow me across social media. Legend in Two Games, completely spelled that, as you can see there. Put up a brief interview we did with Combos Court this past week at Bowling for Peace. Gonna have Combos Court on probably next week as we get ready for NBA free agency. So you're not gonna want to miss that as well. Always a great episode when we got Combo on. And then later tonight, as always, my brother Will Gordon will be joining me for a segment we love to call the opinionated ones. Trip Young might be joining as well, so we're gonna get into some stuff. We're gonna get into some of these questions right now. Let's, because the comment section is booming. Shout out to everybody in the comment section. I see you guys on YouTube, on Instagram. I see it buzzing right now, so I greatly appreciate that. So let's get to some stuff. This wasn't the first comment of the night. Kyrie, you had the honor of the first comment of the night, but I like this comment because I was going to start on this topic anyway. Henry the Man said, Darius Acuff goes to the Kings. Lou Williams says he doesn't trust the Kings to develop. Shout out to Henry. Lou Will's 1,000% right. And I agree with Lou Will. I feel the same exact way. I think there's a situation that unfortunately ACUF has landed somewhere that this is just an organization that does not do right by their players. It's an organization that does not develop their young players. Keep in mind, the Sacramento Kings, this is not the first time they've drafted a young guard, right? They had Tyreek Evans, who was rookie of the year at one point. They had De'Aaron Fox. They had Tyrese Halliburton. Now you get ACUF. Is he the most unique talent out of all those guys I mentioned? Maybe. He might be the best guard out of all those guys they've ever drafted. But there is no history, track record, anything that would indicate you can trust the Sacramento Kings with a young developing guard. And it was my worst case scenario for Darius Acuff. I talked about this on Monday. I did not want him to go there. I really hope that he would have went to Brooklyn or that he would have fell and landed to Dallas at 9. I thought Dallas would have been a great spot for him with the new head coach coming in, with Cooper Flag already there, and then kind of mentoring from Kyrie Irving, because I don't think Kyrie's going to be there beyond the trade deadline. So I thought that could have been a really good situation for him. The Kings have a little bit of talent, right? They've got some bonus. They've got Keegan Murray. But again, I don't trust anything that the Kings have going on as an organization. This really looks like Darius Acuff would probably be rookie of the year, or at least one of the elite candidates for rookie of the year. But it's a terrible situation. They're not going to win. There's no fundamental or foundation there at all in Sacramento. So I 1,000% agree, Henry. I don't like the landing spot for Darius Acuff. Lou Will is 1,000% correct. Squeeze said, did y'all see Isaiah Evans from Duke? I saw that, and I like Isaiah Evans too. Was all geared up, watch cost $3 million. He was the last player in the green room, didn't get drafted. That has to feel awful, right? He should be picked today, though. I think he will be picked today. I would love for the Knicks to take him with the first pick of that second round. He's a 6'6" guard who can really, really shoot. You look at his improvement from year 1 to year 2. That stands out the most for me in terms of his ability to get his own shot off, his increase in scoring, his increase in minutes. He put the work in. He got better as a player. I would love to see him land with the Knicks, but he's going to land early in the second round. It's very rare that you can find a guy that can shoot the ball the way he can shoot the ball as a bigger guard. Again, a 6'6" guard, an off-ball guard. I don't want to say he's this type of player, but in terms of how he can be utilized, it could be similar to like Klay Thompson, a guy who's off the ball, who doesn't require a high usage rate, but can still be very, very effective. And I think early in his career, he'll probably be closer to like a Bones Highland, almost a heat check guy off the bench. You give him a few minutes, you give him the green light, and you kind of let him spark your second unit. But I love his game. I would love for the Knicks to pick him up. The Knicks are going to have to make some really tough decisions with their bench regardless. Is Landry Shamet coming back? Is Jordan Clarkson coming back? Is Jose Alvarado opting into his contract? So the Knicks have three questionable guards already. To add a young guy, I think could really be beneficial for the Knicks in their depth on their bench if they end up losing two or more of those guys. I think Landry Shamet is gone. I think Alvarado will opt back in. Clarkson is the wild card here. I think Clarkson could make more money on the open market. But I do think Jordan Clarkson really enjoyed his time in New York this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a 2-year deal close to the vet minimum to just stay in New York because it does seem like he found a home and him and Alvarado are really cool. So I wonder if he would do that. But I do think Shaman might be the odd man out in this scenario. I think Shaman is the one that's gone. And if that's the case, I would love for Isaiah Evans to be the young guy that they kind of groomed off that bench. Shout out to Kyrie. Warriors got a great one in Yatel from Michigan. They did. But we know Steve Kerr don't know how to coach or play young studs like him. But the old Kerr has no choice but to play him and let him make mistakes. So I don't completely agree with that, Kyrie. And I thought yesterday on the telecast, they highlighted this. The younger guys they had brought in before were put in a very tough situation because the Warriors were still trying to compete for a championship. You look at when they brought in Wiseman, Kuminga, and even Moody, they were not allowed to make mistakes because the Warriors still felt like they had a championship window. And they did win a championship a couple of years ago, right? So is that all on Kerr, or is it the fact that maybe you kind of have these two battling entities of we want to play the young guys, we want to give them chances to make mistakes, we want to give them run on the court, but we still want to cater to our veterans who expect to win. And there's a certain expectation there. With Yaxel, I think it's different. He's an older rookie. This guy's going to be 24 by the start of the season. He's got a lot of playing experience. So I think his IQ for the game and where he's at as a player is completely different than some of those other younger guys who were 18, 19 years old coming into a system and they were expected to pick it up quick and win. Also, Yax, I remember played at Michigan. Dusty May, who I know I saw the question about him, we're going to get it to him later, runs a pro-style system there. So he knows what to expect. He's going to come in kind of with no ego and just saying, hey, where can I help out? Where can I be effective with the Warriors? So I think this is a little different than some of the previous situations, Kyrie. I know we've gotten on Kerr about Kuminga. I know that's been a big talking point. But again, you look at the timeline of when those guys came to Golden State and where the Warriors were expected to be. It was tough to develop guys and still be a championship contender. It's tough to allow guys to make the mistakes and get them the minutes when you're still trying to play for a championship. So I think that was a very tough situation for Kuminga and Wiseman to be in, and even Moody, who's still there. Yaxel, I think, walks into a much different situation. This is an older Warrior team. The expectations are not there. I also think that they're trying to get away from some of the workload that Steph, that Jimmy, and Draymond are going to have to handle this year. So Yaxel, you might see as the season goes on, his minutes progress even more, and he becomes a bigger part of their team. Kyrie said, I think a lot of these players getting bad advice and leaving school like they lottery or first round picks and they fall to the second round, go back to school and get better. I think for some guys that is the case. Shout out to Kyrie on that. I think for some guys it is truly the case, but it's also a matter of you got to strike where you're hot. And if you've got buzz right now, if you've got NBA scouts right now telling you, hey, you can be a first round pick, it's tough to walk away from that. It really is. Some of these guys really do peak their freshman year. It's not always their fault. Sometimes they're not taught the game the right way. Sometimes they're not in systems that really put them in position to develop. But if you're told you're going to be a lottery pick or at least a late first round pick, how do you not enter the draft? There are too many variables that could affect your future if you don't enter the draft. I think Kyrie's, I don't know how old you are, but one of the biggest, I guess, examples of this, go back and look at Felipe Lopez. Felipe Lopez at the time was viewed as the Dominican Michael Jordan. Felipe Lopez was the premier two guard coming out of New York City. And Felipe Lopez had an opportunity to leave St. John's after his rookie year. He averaged 28 games in St. John's. He didn't want to leave. He had gotten advice, go into the draft, because that was right after Kevin Garnett had gone lottery out of high school. And Kevin Garnett and Felipe Lopez were in the same high school class. So he knew physically and skill-wise, I can match up. If this guy who I was playing in high school and we played in all these showcase games is going lottery, I can probably go lottery as well. But he took advice on the flip side where people said, no, go back to school, polish your game. He suffered a devastating injury his second year. He never was really the same. He ended up doing 4 years at St. John's. He does get drafted. He was a second-round pick when the Minnesota Timberwolves, ironically, he ends up going to Minnesota when Kevin Garnett was there. But his career was never the same after that. He took the advice to go back, and he didn't leave when he was hot. When everybody was on him, when everybody was talking about him, he would have been a lottery pick after his freshman year in St. John's. He went back. He was a part of some good St. John's teams. He played with Ron Artest. Eric Barkley was over there as well, I believe, at that time. But he had some good guys around him in St. John's, but the injury held him back, and it affected where he got drafted, and it really affected his career in the NBA. Because again, it took him 3 years to leave, or 4 years to leave college. He left after year one. So that part played against him. And then he wasn't the same player. The explosiveness wasn't the same. Squeeze says, Eric, the Knicks have the first pick of the second round. Should they take Henry, Vassir of UNC, or Evans? I said it earlier, Squeeze. I don't know if you saw it. I said take Evans. I love Evans' game. Will, once you set up, give me the thumbs up, bro. I love Evans' game. Again, 6'6" shooter. You look at his numbers from his freshman to sophomore year, everything increased. His three-point percentage decreased a little bit, but that was also because he was taking more three-point shots. But the shooting, the pure shooting percentage is great on Evans. You look at his free throw percentage, it identifies a guy who is going to be an elite shooter at the next level, over 85% both seasons at Duke. And as a complimentary piece, you look at what he did against St. John's. He had a 25-point game against St. John's in the tournament. He had a great ACC championship game. Cameron Boozer got a lot of the highlight and the praise because he was the best player on that team. Evans had big moments as a secondary scorer on that team, averaging 15 points a game this past year. I think Evans is going to be a really good rotational guy at the next level. For the Knicks, I would say take Evans. I want that shooting. Will, let me know once you're ready, bro. Let's see what else we got. Shout out to the comment section. It was buzzing tonight. We're going to get to that Jaylen Brown question in a second. Kyrie said, I see you guys in here on.
What's up, baby? What they do, baby? NBA draft time.
AJ Devanza jersey for tonight.
No, it ain't no AJ. You know, I was gonna even rock some Wizards gear tonight, but I'm trying to temper expectations, you know, and I'm keeping it local. You know what I'm saying? I'm keeping it local, Terps all day, every day. But yeah, shout out to AJ Devanza, the newest Washington Wizard. Welcome to the family. That's all I can say. Welcome to the team, bro. I'm now you my guy now. You know what I'm saying? I'm rooting for you. Everything that AJ Devanza is supposed to be, I need to see it because you know, anybody watch, you know, we got this. I know the supporters rock with us every week. Y'all know I ain't been the biggest AJ Devanza guy, but now he's on the squad. It's Team Devanza over here.
I think he's going to be amazing for you guys. I think you're going to love him. I'm not saying you're wrong in how you felt because I understood why you want Darren Peterson as well. But I think once you see AJ play, you're gonna really like this game.
But that's the thing. It ain't about basketball. It ain't about what he can do on the court that I don't like. It's the stuff that I think some his off the court personality. And I'm not talking about like he's a good kid from all things that we've seen, like not trouble, but I think his more leaning to the business side of basketball might be something we have to deal with in a way that I'm not comfortable with for when a kid comes in.
Okay. I was,
you know what I mean?
Explain what you mean by that.
I mean, I feel like he's coming in like a corporation already. When I understand, you know, kids are about getting their money and all that, but every time I've seen him talk, that's been first. Off the court, like it's been about the brand more than it's been about basketball when I've seen him talk. Even in his attitudes, like when he didn't work out for anybody, which I'm not mad about. But even his attitude when people ask him about it, it's like, well, he's like, well, yeah, I don't have to work out for anybody. But let me tell you about what my logo means. So this corner up here, it's like, hold on, we talking hoop, and you taking it, you trying to sell T-shirts and logos, and that's cool. But if you a hooper, that shit gonna sell itself. You know what I'm saying? I don't need you to be the front man for AJ the Master Incorporated. I need you to come in and be the front man for the Washington Wizards and trying to get this team over to the mountaintop. That's what I need you to be. I don't care about your bank account. You're gonna get your money, and if you win, you're gonna get more money. And I'm not worried about your bank account. I'm worried about the Washington Wizards trying to win the championship. And all I feel like AJ the Master is more worried about AJ the Master.
To me, it doesn't come across that way. I think that yes, there's a lot of media training that goes into a lot of these young men. I think AJ, no different than any other prospect who has been touted the next great one since high school, has gotten a lot of media training and a lot of assistance in, hey, this is what we want to portray to the public. Keep in mind, this was a kid who was intentionally moved from Massachusetts out to Utah for prep high school ball. You know what I'm saying? Like this, he has been a brand and he has been a business pretty much since middle school. You know, he has ties, and leads back to the ties with the Utah Jazz. He has ties to people in that front office since he was 14, 15 years old. So he's been having conversations with people who have schooled him on this is what you need to portray, and this is what we want to do for you in terms of how we can elevate you off the court and make you more than just a basketball player. So is he handling completely right? No, maybe not. You know, he's still a very, very young man. Again, we're talking about a kid who's 19 years old, right? And maybe he isn't handling it the best. But I think in terms of what you're getting as a player, it's going to be everything you love. When I watch this kid play, he never cowers away from the challenge. He never seems to like the moment is too big for him. And as I text you, you look at a situation with him and Darren Peterson. This is not to take a jab at Darren Peterson. Darren Peterson is playing at Kansas with other blue chip players. Darren Peterson can afford to have a night where he doesn't shoot well or he's not really into it. That's why Kansas can be one of the best teams in the country, even though he's only playing 20 minutes a night, right? On minutes restriction as a freshman. AJ's at BYU, where it's like, no, we need everything AJ got tonight. It don't matter who we playing. We need everything we got AJ got because there's probably not another guy on that team that's going to make it to the next level. So when I look at the way he approached the game and the way he played the game, especially in the tournament, I think he has all the makings of a true star in the NBA. And I think the DC situation works out perfectly because you have vets now like Trae Young, and if Anthony Davis stays there, that now can kind of protect him a little bit, where it ain't going to be 25 shots from AJ tonight. Now, again, the Anthony Davis situation is going to play out how it's going to play out. I think Trae Young has really fucked you out with this new contract. That's just me personally. For him to opt out and then for the Wiz to go back in and go 4 years, $200+ million.
That was the plan. That was the plan when we brought him in. So I can't scoff at it now. That was
no. If that was the plan, then I take back the things I said about the Wiz earlier. Because who were you competing against? Who was going to give Trae Young that contract? Nobody was giving him 4 years, 200-something million. Now, if you guys would have said, "Hey, look, we'll give you 2 years at $100 million at the average salary that you want," I would have understood that. But now you've set the precedent. You know what's going to happen with Rich Paul. AD is going to play hardball and win his new contract. And if y'all give AD his new contract, y'all kill all flexibility y'all have with this roster now.
See, that's why I don't factor in Anthony Davis in any of the Wizards' future plans because he's been asking for the extension since he got here. We're not giving it to him. He ain't getting it. He ain't getting that from us. I've said multiple times he won't be here past the trade deadline, and I think he'll be gone way before that. He's right now, like all these pictures you see online, the Wizards' potential start. No, that ain't going to be. Anthony Davis will not play more than 25 games for this team. There's no way. There's no way.
This got the potential to be a sneaky good team this year. When you look at the landscape of the East, you add in the young players with those two vets. I think the Wiz had a real potential to be a sneaky good team this year. And I think this contract situation with Trae Young and what now AD is about to do is going to derail some of the things y'all doing. Now, I still like the young core. I still like the young guys. I just wish that you guys wouldn't have caved so quickly for Trae Young. I feel like that was.
I think that's an anticipatory move because we know AD's out of here. So once AD's out of here,
I still feel like Trae Young fucked y'all. Trae Young waited till 2 days before free agency started to say, all right, I'm gonna opt out now. If the plan was, like you said, if all along it was, hey, we're gonna give you the extension, then let's just work this out ahead of time. Let's just go ahead and work it out. Let's come to a number that makes sense for both parties and move on. And he could have easily opted in and then just said, and we'll give you 2 years on the back end of that.
I don't know. I think that move shows me even more that Anthony Davis is not part of the plans for the future. Going forward. And I have no problem with that. When we got him, I was like, okay, he's going to be a future trade chip. Like I never was telling nobody to go out and get an Anthony Davis Wizards jersey.
I mean, I wouldn't tell nobody that. Anthony Davis has no loyalties to no organization because Rich Paul is his agent. I mean, we saw they snaked the Pelicans, did they not? Yeah. When he wanted out of there, they snaked them. So we knew that already. I'm not saying that. I felt like we talked about it. I thought the way the Wiz handled their cap space last year, along with, we knew they were tanking. I thought it was done massively. To be able to get 2 veterans knowing, hey, we're probably going to have a top 3 pick anyway. Let's just get these 2 potential all-stars now, bring in the young boy, and before you know it, now we're probably a 4 or 5 seed in the East. Because realistically, with everything that's going on in Boston right now, and we're going to get to Miami in a second, a lot of uncertainty with the Pacers. Do the Pistons have enough? Are the Cavs going to be able to run it back? There's a real possibility that the Wiz could have been like the 5th or 6th seed in the East next year and still develop the young core. That to me kind of seems like it might be out the window now because, like you said, AD's going to force his way out, and Trae Young got his money, and I don't know how committed he is now to what DC got going on.
But that's the thing. What part of Anthony Davis' history should make me think he's going to stick around? Like what can you point to?
I think
his career tells me he's going to stick around in Washington.
I think it could have worked out if this money wasn't thrown at Trae Young. If there would have been a plan where it said, look, Trae, then we'll give you the 2 years on the back end, right? Where, all right, you're happy with the annual salary, but at the same time, it gives us the flexibility to keep building out this roster. Because we know Trae Young and Anthony Davis are not part of the long-term future. They're kind of placeholders for right now to make the team competitive. So let's do this. Let's get you some money. Let's do it the right way, but let's also leave us some flexibility. And that way, when we speak to Anthony Davis, it's kind of the same conversation. We know you probably are searching for greener pastures, but all we're looking for is that 1 or maybe 2 really good years from you. And then after that, you can do whatever you want to do. Now I feel like that's out the window. Trae Young getting a 4-year deal. If you're Anthony Davis, there's no way you're not settling for a major extension right now. You just gave it to Trae Young. So I want mine too now. And that's Anthony Davis and Rich Paul's mindset. That's always their mindset. This one's for you from Squeeze. Will Gordon, what's your thoughts on Eton Thomas? I know he's in the group chat for the love of the game.
What about him? I mean,
that's just Squeeze.
That's very vague.
Yeah.
In what space? In his political space, I ain't got no. That's a very vague question, Squeeze. I don't really know which way I'm supposed to. Like, I ain't got no issues with Eton Thomas. Like he said, he's part of the group for the love of the game. His opinions are his opinions. I ain't got no beef with the dude. He's been invited on the show a couple times, but never reached back out. So but
I reached out to him too. I told you I sent him a message before too. Yeah. He got to be whenever he want to join. He's more than welcome to join. I would love to chop it up with him
If you can send Squeeze, if you can send a follow up, as to what did something happen that I missed or
right?
I just don't know how you. Which angle you going at with that question?
I got this one for you, and then Trip, give me a thumbs up. Let me know when you're ready. This one's for you as well, Will. Who wants to know? Her daddy says, even though the Wizards enjoyed his last 2 years in DC, he said it hasn't been electric since then. What did MJ do 2 years in the city? I don't know. I don't agree with that.
That's not true at all. Because the John Wall years, had
even the Guild years.
Yeah,
pretty good.
The Gill years when we was getting knocked out by the Cavs every year, the city was on fire. The city was behind. That's the thing about Washington basketball is when we get a star and that star is hooping, they are behind that star 1,000%. If you look at we can go back to when Bernard King left the Knicks and came to Washington. I got a Bernard King Bullets jersey now because of what he did in his few years in Washington. When you in Washington basketball, when we get it started, that goes out and hoops and plays basketball the right way, the city is behind them. I try to tell y'all, Washington D.C. loves basketball. I know it's the Redskins or Commanders Town or whatever, but basketball is first in D.C. And I'm just I don't even understand why people would even have that kind of take. I mean, for real, because if Gil and them had them on fire, and then the John Wall era, the John Wall jumping on the scores table era, that was the time. I mean, and that team, I was just talking to one of my homies the other day because it was a clip I saw about that team, the John Wall, Bradley Beal, uh, Gortat, Nene, and Otto Porter. That was my squad. There's nobody in there that you're gonna pick on the baseline. You know what I'm saying? If you hooping for real. But that team together, like if you was a DC fan, a Washington Wizards fan, you was completely behind that John Wall team. So I can't say that it's never been that. Actually, I think the electricity in DC behind Jordan was just because of Jordan. It wasn't because of the team. That team had Christian Laettner, Kwame Brown. I mean, that team was absolute garbage. Electricity was in the building when John Wall and them was in there. So this ain't the first thing since back then. It's been a couple waves since Jordan, and that John Wall era was.
Henry
that
said,
was, I like that.
Man, I don't agree with this either. Henry McMahon said, but Gil and Warriors wasn't big as Jordan years. They were bigger because those were playoff teams. Those were bigger.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'm a Jordan fan, but let's keep it a buck. There's no way we could say the Jordan return in DC the first year was big. After that, once that kind of wore off, there's no.
After that, it was about trying to keep his career PPG up.
Those Hibachi years, Gilbert Arenas Hibachi years, when they go, remember they got pretty much their rival in the East was the Cavs, Deshaun Stevenson and Braun going at it, Jay-Z making songs about Deshaun Stevenson, like the city DC was buzzing at that time.
And when
John Wall and Bradley Beal. And
Gilbert, people forget when Gilbert went on his revenge tour against everybody from Team USA basketball.
He dropped like 50 beats on everybody's head.
On everybody, he said he was going to do it, then he did it. And then, like, fast forward to the John Wall era, came in with the Dougie. You know what I'm saying? Some people tried to hate on it, but that John Wall era in Washington basketball was electric, bro.
Let's get Trip in on the combo. Trip was good, bro.
What up, Trip?
What's going on, man? My apologies for being tardy tonight. But glad to be back with you two good brothers and the family, of course, that's been supporting us and helping us run the numbers up.
Yeah, let me quick curveball. Trip, you was at the parade, right?
Mm-mm.
Oh, neither one of y'all was able to make it?
Nah.
Damn, but y'all that balling for peace?
Yeah.
So, and that's in the city, right?
That was in Queens. Yeah.
Okay. What was the vibe like? What was, just from my personal question, like what was the vibe like in the city, in New York, around the boroughs, coming off that high of winning a championship after all those years?
It was still a crazy buzz. I had a couple of my people that was out at the parade, so I saw the videos, I saw the pictures. It was from what my overall feeling on it, and from what everybody said, it probably was like the most unifying moment in the city, where you just, you know what I'm saying, like everybody, you have Knick gear everywhere. It probably was the most polite New Yorkers have been to each other in God knows how long. But even when we was at Baldwin Beach, you still saw a lot of people with their Knick gear on, hats, shirts, jerseys. So it's a crazy buzz, I think, still going on in the city to this day. And it's going to carry over into the start of next season, because right now, you know, the Knicks, it's not just the end of the drought, as I've said before. The Knicks are New York's team. In New York, you could be a Yankee fan, you could be a Met fan, you could be a Giant fan, you could be a Jet fan, you could be a Ranger fan, you could be an Islander fan. But if you love basketball, the Knicks are your team. You know, aside from the 15 Nets fans that scattered somewhere throughout New York City, it's all Knicks.
Yeah, and you know, I didn't make it to the parade. The man tried to hold me down and keep me obligated to my civic duties in court. But
Oh man.
yeah, but I'm still in the city though, so you know what I mean. Um, church is in Manhattan. Plus, I'm in the Bronx. So it's not an energy around the garden. It's an energy around the whole five boroughs. If that makes sense to you guys. So everywhere, like the whole last week when you went outside, you either saw someone wearing Knicks colors and gear or Puerto Rican colors and gear. That was all you saw in the city. Now, since the festival is past, now it's still big Nick energy in the city. That carried over into Bowling for Peace.
Don't call me that shit.
Moment,
Big Nick energy.
shout out to MRG because he closed out Bowling for Peace with the one of the New York anthems of the summer. He gonna be rocking out with us soon, as well. But yeah, the energy is crazy in here. Everybody is together. See, it don't like honestly, it don't matter what's the sport. When a city win a championship, the people gonna get behind that and they gonna support that because one thing about New York is we all about winning. Like we want to win. You know what I'm saying? No matter what area it's in, New York wants to win. New York wants to be number one. And the fact that New York hasn't got the job done in men's professional basketball in 53 years, it just made that moment so much more special for the city. And yeah, the vibe is just crazy. Except for that, simpleton that stole the damn Knicks garbage can. And I'm glad she got
Oh yeah,
fired
that's
too.
what. Man, we're
Doing
not
some
gonna shine
Oh,
no.
I saw that. She dumped the trash
Listen,
out.
we're not gonna hold on. We're not even gonna shine no light on that dumbass shit.
yeah.
It's
I
stupid.
No,
saw
I'm just,
that.
I'm just
Saw
glad to
Let's
that.
keep
say
it. I know, but let's just listen. Let's just keep it moving, man. We're not even going because then we're gonna get somebody in the comment section. What happened? What not? We ain't gonna
Yeah,
talk about that.
shout out to y'all. Shout out to the traffic lights worker.
Yeah, right. Listen,
Shout out to her. I
this was
seen
the
an
first
interview
time
with her yesterday. I was
I
like,
seen
what?
that, bro. We're not gonna
That's
listen. We're not even
crazy.
going down
Shout
that
out.
rabbit hole, bro. We're not even going down that rabbit hole, bro.
Yo, wow. Yo, wow.
We're not. Shout out to Kyrie. This was the first comment of the night, man. Giannis traded to the Heat. Y'all had a few days to take it in. Pause. So in the East, they got to be top 3 or 4, right? Depending on what they add. Trip, I'm gonna let you go first, man.
let me just say this before I answer this question. Y'all know that we from New York. Y'all gotta watch how y'all phrasing these questions, man. We don't need to be saying pause, reading every question. You guys said that. Love y'all, you know what I'm saying? But we from New York. Y'all gotta remember that. We from New York. We spoke about this, we got into this on Monday before the trade actually happened. And one of the things that Eric and I was saying was that, well, one, we both kind of agreed that for Giannis, if he was going to win a championship, the best place would have been Minnesota. But out of Boston and Miami, we both felt like Boston would have put him in a better situation to win a championship because you still have Jason Tatum there, and they have shooters and guys that play defense surrounding Giannis. The Miami Heat, yeah, you bringing over Giannis, but you also, what I'm saying, depleted a lot of your depth on the roster. You don't have Tyler Hero anymore, so now who's gonna run the offense for you guys? And nothing against Bam, no disrespect to Bam, but he's not the superstar where you pair him up and you like, all right, we got a big two, because he's more of a defensive big. Even though I know he scores, I think he's at like 19, 20 a game, but he's more of a defensive player. He's not a really looked at as a two-way outside of his 82-point game anomaly. But outside of that, they really don't have much else now. So now you got to really kind of build this team up. But if we're just talking about the roster as is right now, playing is where I see them at.
Will, what you think, man?
Fill out that roster. It's gonna be a lot of money that they can spend. outside of Bam, and I mean, people chase the cap all the time. It's going to be money outside of Giannis and Bam. And I was looking at free agents that they could possibly fill the roster with. There's a couple guys out there that could actually get some things going, and not, like Tripp said, playing maybe 8 if Giannis is motivated and healthy.
Mhm.
But I mean, I don't think they think they're going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals this year. I think after getting a roster put together this year and then going forward in 27, 28, I think it's more their goal. But I mean, this is a team, and then Pat Riley is getting older. Is he losing his fastball? That's yet to be seen. But this is a team or an organization that got to the Eastern Conference Finals with Bam and Jimmy.
They went to 2 NBA finals.
Oh,
Bam.
sorry, yeah, okay, with Bam and Jimmy.
They also
Right,
had that.
that's the best players. They what?
They also had that depth too when they went to the
Right.
finals.
That's why I'm saying maybe after. I'm not saying it for this year, but after they're going to get players. It's not like guys aren't going to come to Miami.
Yeah.
And then going forward after this season, 27, 28, that could be like I'm not going to poo-poo anything that's going on in Miami because they've shown over the years that they can compete with stars, with generational stars. And that's actually the only time Pat Riley teams have ever competed was with generational stars. Are we calling Giannis generational?
Yeah.
Because if you go back to the Lakers. Who do you win championships with? Magic and Kareem.
Yeah, I mean,
You go to Miami, D-Wade and Shaq.
We ain't even got to go to the
LeBron
Lakers.
and the Beatles.
Right, but he didn't put together the Lakers roster, so I don't. Not to say he don't deserve credit.
But no, I'm saying when he was part of winning championships, it was generational talent involved, and Giannis is that, but he's old too. But Giannis is a generational talent.
Yeah.
I think I 1000% agree with you though, Will. I think this move, a lot of people are making it about this season, and I don't think this move is about this season because it's not the cap and where they're at with the cap is not going to allow them to be that competitive this year. I think this move is rooted in trying to make a bigger move next year. Giannis will be 32 this season. They're hoping having Giannis in the building, get 1 or 2 pieces this year, and then try to make a big swing next year and put themselves in position to win. Because to your point, Tripp, depth is what's going to win in the NBA now. The reason we have so much parity in the NBA is we talk about 8 different champions in 8 years, no back-to-back teams. Teams are no longer building around a big 3. Teams are saying, how can we get 8 or 9 strong players on this roster to give us a chance to win? It's how the Knicks did it. It's what the Spurs are going to keep trying to do. It's how Oklahoma City did it last year. You saw the Pacers in the finals last year the same way. So I think Pat understands that and knows we're not going to probably win it this year. If we can make 1 or 2 significant moves this year and make another 1 or 2 moves next year and then put ourselves in position, because next year with Giannis at 33, barring another significant injury, we would assume that Giannis is still going to be in his prime. And then you take the big swing next year. The cap is going to be very tricky for them this year, though. Where they stand right now, they're already above the first apron. They only have 18 million between where they're at now and the second apron, which comes with heavier penalties and kind of really it will eliminate them being able to just sign vet minimum guys.
Yeah.
The tricky part for them is Norman Powell was a free agent. He's coming off a career year. He was their best guard last year. Do you invest in Norman Powell coming back? If you let him walk, all right, it frees up a little bit of money. But again, you're still over the first apron. It's not like you're working with just a bunch of cap space. You're working in that space of we're already a first apron team that has to pay taxes on this team. And we probably need about 3 or 4 more guys to fill out this roster. The biggest move for them is going to be if Andrew Wiggins opts out of that contract. Because Andrew Wiggins is at $30 million right now. If he opts out, it clears up a lot of cap space. But then it becomes another space you got to fill on that roster. And where are we going to find the guy that, you know what I'm saying? Are we going to now be able to use that $30 million to get the player we need? Or are we now setting ourselves back and trying to just fill in the gaps of some of these pieces? So that's why I really think next year's their year. They're going to try to make a move this year, maybe bring in a veteran point guard. Next year, I think they're going to try to add more shooting, and they're going to see, like, all right, we have the pieces that we think can win it with Giannis and Bam as our best 2 players. And now can we just get enough shooting around these guys over the next few seasons? So, Kyrie, to your question, I don't think they're a top 3 or top 4 team this year. To put them that high, to me, is a little disrespectful to some of the other teams that are really good because the Pistons were just the number 1 seed in the East. Like, the Pistons aren't going to get worse. They're going to get better, right? Whether the Celtics trade Jaylen Brown or not, the Celtics are not just going to get worse. They're going to get better. So I don't think the way Miami's currently constructed is a top 4 team in the East. I think they're a playoff team. I think they'll put a scare in some people because it's Giannis, and Giannis can win a lot of games for you. But in terms of the way you build a roster nowadays in the NBA, Giannis, Bam, and just a bunch of other guys is not going to be enough to compete. I think the East is deep, and we expect the Pacers to be better. We expect certain teams to be better, so I don't think they're a top 4 team.
If Giannis was a shooter, I would say yes, they'd be top 3, top 4 teams. But because he's not a shooter, and really Bam's offensive game is in the paint, his offensive game is in the paint, and now they don't really have, and I know they're gonna bring some guys in, but those guys still gonna have to figure out a chemistry together, find their shots, but they don't even have the same amount of shooting surrounding their stars as they did this past season. So I think it's gonna be tougher than people think. It's not just like, oh, all right, Giannis is top 3 in the league. We're just gonna throw him in Miami, and now they're gonna be a top 3 team. I think it works that easily.
Yeah, again, like I said, the way teams are built now, just because you might have the best player on the court, you may not have the best team. And you're seeing that in the West with Denver.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of us still feel Jokic if he's not the best. Jokic, if he's not the best, he's top 2. But you see the struggles when they're playing teams that are better, that are like just put together as teams.
That's what we just saw in the finals.
Right. When you can be able to put together a complete roster, it's way different than saying, oh, we got Giannis out there. It's like, all right, cool. And we got 8 or 9 guys that we know that you're going to have to figure out how to defend us. It's not as easy. So I think they're a year away. I think the move from Miami makes sense. And also to Will's point, Pat Riley does have this history. Year 2 is normally when it happens. Remember, when they traded for Shaq, they didn't go to the finals year 1. It was year 2. LeBron and them won in year 2. Jimmy Butler in year 2 went to the finals. So there's a history there where by year 2, Pat is able to put the roster together that can win it all.
And I got a couple guys. I mean, you mentioned y'all mentioned Landry Shamet a couple times tonight.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a dude that can fill that roster.
There's gonna be some guys, and I think once Miami figures out what they're gonna do with Norman Powell and Andrew Wiggins, they might add a shooter or a veteran guard this year, then try to add something else next year and go at it. Giannis got to stay healthy too, because let's not forget that Giannis hasn't been injured the last 3 years as well.
What about because I was looking at that list. What about Tim Hardaway Jr. as a veteran guard that can give you minutes?
I love Tim Hardaway Jr. I think he would be a good fit there. It's going to really be dependent on what he's looking for contract wise, because he's going to have a lot. He's going to have a lot of shooters. There's going to be a lot of teams after Tim Hardaway Jr.
And Pop played there a little while. And Gabe Vincent too. And do you bring Gabe Vincent back?
Nah. Gabe Vincent ain't got shit.
I mean, you gotta fill the roster.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. Let's go ahead. Will, I'm gonna let you start this one here. Looking at the Jazz, what does Darren Peterson bring, and does he start? It's a good question, Squeeze.
I think he starts for sure. He brings you, I think, day one NBA combo guard action immediately. I'm comfortable with him at the 1 or the 2, probably more so at the 2. But he brings you a silky smooth guard that can get his shot off at any angle, has no problem in the paint, and I mean he looks like he's a problem at all 3 levels of scoring. He brings you. He's a guy you can pencil in immediately as your starting 2 guard. That's what he brings to Utah.
Sure, what you think?
Well, one, I definitely think he's gonna be starting in Utah. I'm interested to see what kind of chemistry him and Ace Bailey can develop together, because most likely it's gonna be them 2 in the backcourt. So I'm interested to see that. But I mean, you got to think Utah is at the bottom of the barrel, so everything is going to be a positive. You got two of the top three picks in the last two drafts, and both of these kids are really talented. You know, we saw what Ace Bailey did, so now you're gonna add another guard who can shoot, who's athletic. He plays a little defense. You know, Utah is they're gonna be young, but I think they're gonna start trending upwards towards the middle. You know, to the 3/4 of the season, they're gonna start trending up.
Utah won 22 games last year, something like that, 20, 22 games. Um, the intrigue with me with Peterson there is they got so many young guys. I think Peterson is very skilled.
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to utilize Peterson early? Because when you look at their roster, they had 3 guys last year that averaged over 20 points a game. So they had some guys who can get you a bucket. Laurie Marketing averaged over 20, Keontae George averaged over 20, Jaron Jackson, who they brought over from Memphis, averaged over 20. So they got guys. Now, is Darren Peterson the best guy? Maybe. Maybe he is the best guy. Maybe he is the one guy who can get his offense more than others. The real intrigue and the struggle is going to be how do you create an offense? Because with so many young guys, everybody is looking for their shot. And there is no veteran presence here to kind of wheel everybody in and say, all right, let's run an offense. Let's get you these shots. So it's possible maybe to start the season, Peterson maybe comes off the bench just so he can get a little bit more of a green light and have it and run his own show. And then as the season goes on, maybe he transitions into a starter. I don't think there'd be anything wrong with that. Keep in mind, you see how good Dylan Harper was. Dylan Harper came off the bench for the Spurs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You look back, Will Hardy, who's got ties to the Celtics, they did that with Tatum and Brown. When they both were drafted, they came off the bench to start their rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible Peterson comes off the bench and then becomes a starter. You was gonna say something, Will?
Yeah, I couldn't think of Keontae George's name. That's why I'm glad you brought it up. I don't like. I disagree with you on that part, Trip. I think Keontae George is part of that starting backcourt, and they slide Ace to the 3. Like I see George, Bailey, Peterson, and then Marketing and JJ holding it down in the paint. I mean, that's not bad.
No, it's
You know
actually
what I'm saying?
not. It's a really good young starting five. Like I
It's
said,
young. It's young.
right? It's young.
Yeah,
The
and they see their
challenge
point forward too. So
the challenge is going to be again getting shots because you got 3 guys already who are averaging 20 points a game, and Ace Bailey, who was again their prize rookie last year, he averaged 13. You look at the shot chart; he was taking significantly less shots than those other guys. Now Darren Peterson falls into that spot now, right? Is Darren Peterson going to be the guy who's like, all right, since you're the low man on total pole, we're going to kind of get everybody else offense going first, or are they going to run it through him? And that's why I would not be surprised if you start the season with Peterson coming off the bench and allow him to get more shots and kind of run the second unit. And then once he gets comfortable with everything, all right, now let's transition you into the starting lineup. But to start the season, it's going to be choppy because it's going to be like, yo, who's taking these shots? Who's running this offense? So,
yeah.
but I think overall, Utah is trending in the right direction.
I think
And
one of
Dan
those
Gage,
move.
my bad, Trip. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying I think one of those bigs is going to get moved though.
I agree because they still got to figure out what they're going to do with Walker Kessler, who's their backup big, and if they bring him back, it does open up the opportunity that you just trade Laurie Marketing. I was kind of surprised. I'm surprised Golden State hasn't pushed harder to get Laurie Marketing. They've been tied in for like 3 years now. I thought yesterday would have been a perfect opportunity. You know, they draft Yaxel out of Michigan, but I really thought they would have tried to take the 11th pick and something else and maybe try to go get Laurie Marketing.
And I don't like that pick, by the way. That Yasu, what's his name?
Oh, the kid from Michigan.
You know who he screams to me? Is this kid? He was a beast in the tournament. It was Darren something a few years ago. He went like in the top 3. The Knicks might have drafted him actually, but he went in the top 3 or 4 in the draft maybe 10 years ago. Dang, I'll talk amongst yourselves. I'll figure out who this dude was. Derek something. Derek. I'll figure out who it was, but he reminds me a lot of him. He was a beast in the tournament, and then he came to the league and was getting pushed around.
Shout out to Juan. I don't know. You let us know what you think.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure out who he was.
Shout out to Juan. He said, I think the Bulls are headed in the right direction, drafting Caleb Wilson. And didn't they get some players in the trade a few days ago? So they got Nick Claxton in that trade that ultimately landed Julius Randle in Brooklyn. They get Caleb Wilson, who I think is probably got the highest ceiling in this draft. When you look at, I talked about it on Monday Trip. His competitive nature, along with his defensive ability, I think really give him a high ceiling. He's a guy that once he kind of polishes his offensive game, will be a real two-way threat in the league. But what do you think about the Bulls draft so far?
Well, I mean, you can't go wrong with Caleb. This is a kid that we talked about to possibly have the highest upside out of everybody in this draft class. He's if he's not 1A, he's 1B as far as defensive players in this draft, which I also love about Caleb Wilson. But yeah, I think Chicago is making some moves again, but they're a young team. I don't expect them to be good anytime soon, but I do think they're making positive decisions as far as the GM and guys that they're bringing in, the guys, the draft pick. I thought that was a very smart pick for them getting Caleb Wilson there because you could argue that he's the best player in this draft.
Yes, you can.
You know what I mean? So I do love the move for them. I got to see what lineups they put together. What's going to be the starting five? But yeah,
right. Yeah, I got to see who they're going to have at the 2 and the 3. But right now, I would assume Caleb's probably starting at the 4, Claxton at the 5, because they're going to let Nick Richards go, who was their center last year, and Josh Giddey will be the point. So it's going to be a long athletic lineup because Giddey's a 6'7" point guard. And then you got Wilson and Claxton as these big rim runners. So I think that's why I like the move too, Wilson going it, because you have a point guard who's a pass first point guard.
I love Wilson.
Yeah, he's not going. I love his game too. Like I said, I think he has the highest ceiling out of anybody in this draft. But I like I said, I really like it from the standpoint of he's not going somewhere where he's going to have to compete with a guard to get the basketball. It's not like it's not like he's with a point guard that's looking to shoot 25 times a game. He's with a point guard that's going to look to just get him lobs and get him easy feeds. So it'll help his development as well.
The name I couldn't remember was Derek Favors.
Oh, Derek Favors. He played
he
in
was
Brooklyn.
all right in the league.
He played in Brooklyn.
Was he?
Yeah.
He was a lottery pick.
He was in there, but he was in the league, I think at least like 12, 13 years though.
He was in the league for a while. He was a high.
But he wanted to give you what you wanted out of a lottery pick.
No,
and I think that's what you're gonna get out of Yaxel.
Hold on. Well, this is the biggest difference between the two. Yaxel is an older player. You're talking about Yaxel's going to be 24 by the time the season starts.
So another reason I don't like him.
But you're talking about it. I think that's why the Warriors do like him. The Warriors wanted somebody who's a little bit more mature. Derek Favors, when he got drafted at 19, was a super high upside guy, like most of these guys are when they're in the lottery. And because he never reached that full potential, we look at it like, he never lived up to it. Fair. I think Yaxel, we know who he is. Again, he's 24 years old. His game ain't improving 5 or 6 more levels. He is who he is at this point, and I think the Warriors are okay with that.
Well, that's cool. If they okay with that, that's cool. But I think that's his feeling. It's Derek Favors.
Let me ask you a question though. At number 11, where would you have preferred them to go to?
That kid that everybody's talking about is gonna. Oh, that kid that went to the. Did he go to the Lakers? Or everybody's saying he's gonna go to the. Who went to the Lakers late last night?
Cameron Carr.
Yeah. That's one player.
I don't know. Again, I don't know if a young guard fits what the Warriors are trying to do right now because you already got the veteran guards and Steph and Jimmy. So Cameron Carr ain't gonna get much playing time.
See, I feel like that's so short-sighted when we talk about what is the team trying to do right now because the NBA is so fluent. It's like, all right, what are you trying to do right now? But that might be you might be going a whole different direction in a year. But that's why I don't agree with when people say, "Oh, you can't draft that player at this position or at this slot in the draft." Why not? I don't believe in there's a chart that says this player has this value, and you got to follow this chart as far as the draft goes. If like for us, like for the Wizards, you talk about the Trae Young deal, right? 4 years extended. Well, now that means that meant okay. Now we can't draft Acuff, we can't draft Peterson because we got a ball dominant guard for the next
No, I don't
3 to 4 years. I mean, that's how it goes though.
yeah,
Like
but I think
once
it
somebody
also
signs, it's like okay, well now we got to go with.
no, but I
Nah,
think
I don't believe
it
in
also
that. I don't
depends.
believe in that.
So hold on. If A Cup was a 6'6" guard, it's a different conversation. When you're a 6'2" guard and Trey Young is a small guard, now it doesn't make sense. And we're going to talk about that. But like, I think the Clippers are a prime example of that, right? Because there were some people, oh, well, the Clippers should have taken A Cup. First of all, I think Keaton Wagner is pretty good, the point guard out of Illinois. Secondly, they already got Darius Garland, who's a small guard. So if you bring A Cup into that situation, who's playing off ball?
But see, I mean, you're right in that, but I feel like that is such in a vacuum right now. Thinking it's not forward thinking.
No, but
If
I
you,
think
I feel like every
it is
team,
forward thinking though,
including
because it's based on your like every team has its own unique situation too, though. Will I don't think we can always look at it like, oh, you have to just take who the best player on somebody else's board. Because like I said, on your board, right, you might look at A Cup as like, all right, he's the best player. I'm going to take him. But if he doesn't make sense for your team over the next 3 to 4 years, then you're never going to get the potential out of it.
see that's what we did because guys can move, guys get traded all the time, and I feel like any team, not just the Wizards, any team, the A Cup went what, 7th?
What was 7th? Yeah, to Sacramento.
6 teams passed on. I feel like personally, this is not. You don't gotta agree. I feel like 6 teams passed up on a generational small guard. We can't act like they haven't been there. There's been Steph. There's been Allen Iverson. I feel like every team, including us, that passed on him because he doesn't fit what they're trying to do in the next year or two, passed up on Allen Iverson. And if those teams are good with passing up on that type of talent, that type of electricity, fine. But don't tell me he doesn't fit what we're trying to do today. Because tomorrow, I'm thinking about tomorrow. Like for the Wizards, like, oh, don't tell me we made the right decisions because Anthony Davis is on my roster. He ain't gonna be there. So did we make the right decisions as for the future though?
But Trey Young is though.
But Trey is. Yeah. But I'm just using him as an example. A Cup is an example. I'm saying multiple teams, not just us, make picks based on what they're trying to do right in that moment because GMs make those picks that are trying to save their jobs in that moment. They don't care about what the franchise is going to do down the line because they're trying to save their jobs in that moment. That's why they're in the lottery. So a lot of teams make decisions that aren't best for the franchise. They might be best for them to get another contract or to keep them from being fired, but that doesn't mean they're making the best decisions for the franchise. They're making the best decisions to keep their families fed. So it's easier to like say for the Wizards, it's easy to pick AJ DeBaston number 1 because nobody's gonna question that later. If you pick Peterson or if you pick Wilson later and it didn't work out, you get fired for that. Nobody's gonna fire you for AJ DeBaston not working out.
Hold on. We also not gonna pretend that AJ DeBaston wasn't the number 1 rated player from the start of the college season through the end of the college season. It's not like AJ DeBaston just came out of nowhere and now the Wizards take him. He was the number 1 rated player going into the college season. He ended the college season as the number 1 rated player. Now, if you personally like Peterson or Boozer or Wilson, all right, cool, that's a personal preference. But let's not pretend like the guy who was rated number 1 all season and then goes number 1 is like, oh, the Wizards just took him to save their job. The Wizards, they take him to save their job. They took him because they felt he was the best player available. And
so then next week, I'm gonna have for you who was number 1 rated for the last 10 years, and we can see how that worked out because that's just easy. That's lazy GM.
No, that's not.
That's lazy GM. If you take the number 1 rated, we're gonna see how they worked out.
So you think the Wizards didn't scout him all year?
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did.
How is that lazy scouting if you're saying, yo, this guy was the number 1 player, and when we watched him, we loved everything we saw about him. When we interviewed him, we loved him, and so therefore that's the guy we went with. Like I said, if A-Cuff is your personal preference, that's fine. I like A-Cuff as well. The only team that is inexcusable for not drafting Darius A-Cuff is the Brooklyn Nets. There's the 6 teams that drafted. I can give you a legitimate reason why they went with the guy they went with. We just finished saying we thought Caleb Wilson could be the best player in this draft. So are the Bulls wrong for taking Wilson over Acuff?
No.
All right, then. So every team didn't pass on him because they were making an easy or lazy decision. Certain teams passed on him because there was another player that fit what they were looking for. It's not as simple as like,
but as I've said, I would have took Wilson before the Bastard too.
Okay, again,
right. So I'm being consistent. Like I said,
what I'm saying is, but on one hand, you're saying it's lazy GM and to go with the guy who was number 1. On the other hand, it's like, oh, but I like Wilson over the Benson. All right. So if you like Wilson over the Benson, that means you like them over Acuff. We can't be mad at Chicago for taking that. If you're Memphis, right? Could you realistically say we're going to build our team out over the next 5 years with Acuff and John Morant? Who the hell is playing on ball? They both point guards. They both need the ball to be successful. So in Memphis, would it make sense for Acuff? Probably not. Also, not to mention, there is no leadership in Memphis. There's no structure in Memphis. Why the hell?
You know what? Listen, let me shut you down on all this fit shit. Okay,
it's not just about fit.
No. Let me just make it make sense. I'm trying to make it make sense. I'm trying to make it make sense. I personally would have taken the Master 4th.
Okay.
Okay. Let me just say that first. Now let's talk about teams to draft based on fit, right? Oh well, why would we draft this guy when we have this guy, right? That's the argument, right?
That's not my argument.
No, that's what you just was talking about. Like, well, we got a guy. Like, why would you draft Acuff if you got Trae Young? Was that not part of the conversation?
Because it doesn't make sense for your roster. If Trae Young was on an expiring contract, that's a different conversation. You just gave him 4 years, $200 million. So you're gonna draft. So you would draft Acuff, who you feel is the next Allen Iverson, but then say, "Oh, I'm drafting you, but you're gonna play off ball because Trae's gonna get all the usage. He's gonna be the point guard." So now you're gonna try to turn Acuff into Steph Curry and say, "Hey, I just want you to run off screens all day because Trae's gonna handle the ball most of the game." It doesn't make sense. And then on the flip side, now I got major liabilities on the flip side because I got 2 guards who can't defend and both are 6'2" or shorter.
With that being said, you know who was under contract? You want to know somebody that was under contract long term, and in that franchise, they had a player that they didn't need because we got a vet that's already in that position. Go back and ask the Portland Trailblazers if they would like to go back and take Michael Jordan over Sam fucking Bowie.
Of course.
But they had Clyde Drexler. But we had Clyde.
Well, hold on.
Hold up. We had Clyde though, right?
I will say this though. At that time, it was a big man league.
Right.
So it is a little bit more understandable.
It's player for player was what we talking about. Position for position.
Even still,
a big man league, so it was more likely that they would have taken the big man over a smaller guard.
Even if they had drafted Mike, one of their development is going to get stunted.
And guess what? Who cares when you're drafting a better player than who you already got?
Because when you're trying to build a team, Will, it's not about, oh, I'm in love with this one guy, so I'm going to do everything for this one guy. It's about building out a team. If the Wizards wanted Acuff, then don't give Trae Young the extension and just draft Acuff.
They didn't want him. I wanted him.
All right.
I'm saying that's not my argument. That's not my argument. My argument is
that's what I said. That's your personal preference.
My argument.
Personal preference. Your personal preference. You can't treat it as if your personal preference supersedes the thinking of a team. If I've got a small guard already, I'm gonna pass on a 6'9" generational forward who can do everything, who can score at all 3 levels.
Okay, so if I've got a 6'7" guard already, I'm gonna pass on Sam Bowie, who was good at the time. But we already got a guard. Fuck this Michael kid.
I never said fuck Michael.
No, this is what Portland said.
Right.
I'm bringing this up as an example.
What was the mindset of the NBA at that time, Will? How did you
build teams at that time? They were filling out their roster.
No. No, don't do that.
They had a guard. They had a 2-guard already. A starting 2-guard in Clyde Drexler. They had a 2-guard in Clyde Drexler that was no slouch, and they needed a big man. Fuck who you need. Don't you go get the generational guy. I don't care what you're trying to do for this year and next year. Are you trying to win for the next 10 years or the next season?
Hold on. Let me ask you a question. Right. First of all, let's not pretend that before Sam Bowie got hurt, Sam Bowie wasn't an All-American big man.
I just said that. Yes.
All right. Hold on. When the Orlando Magic had the #1 pick and they took Chris Webber and then flipped him for Penny Hardaway because Penny Hardaway fit better next to Shaquille O'Neal. Is that not them saying, understanding, we know Chris Webber's great. We know he's an All-American coming out of Michigan, but him and Shaq is not going to fit. It ain't going to make sense to have these two bigs who need someone to get them the ball. So let's go get the point guard who can do that for Shaq and elevate Shaq's game. And within 2 years, the Magic were in the finals. Is that not the same strategy? Understanding I already have the big man, now I need the guard. So what Portland did on the flip side, I have the guard, I now need the big man. We can sit here all we want and criticize Sam Bowie because Sam Bowie got hurt. Yes.
But we can't bring up that Orlando situation because who was the alternative?
What you mean? Who was the alternative? They could have drafted Penny Hardaway #1 if they wanted.
I mean, who was the alternative in the year they drafted Penny?
Who was in that draft? That was Webber. That was.
So why would you have put? So you saying they should have drafted Shaq? But see, you can't. How are you going to bring up Shaq when he's better than every big? What I'm saying? It's not like you passed on another.
You didn't hear what I said. They had Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
They had the #1 pick. The best player in the country coming out of college was Chris Webber. They drafted Chris Webber and then flipped him for Penny Hardaway on draft day. According to your logic, why are we going to get the guard? Take Chris Webber. He's the best player. And we'll figure it out later. So if Scott Skiles got to be our point guard,
so you're telling me?
So what?
So Penny was just shit. No.
Penny
who's the #2 player? No, but it was a swap. It's right. Not like you're not doing apples for apples right now. This is complete.
I am because I'm proving my point. You just said you take the best player, and so what if they play the same position as somebody else? Did you not? You said take it. All right. So why not just keep Chris Webber and never trade for Penny Hardaway? Then?
Who said Chris Webber was better than Penny Hardaway?
At that time, he was viewed as better than Penny Hardaway.
Just like at this time, I think Darius Acuff's better than half these players.
You're still avoiding my question.
He's not ranked the #1.
Fuck a rank, and that's where I started. I started saying fuck the rankings. Did I not say?
Will, you're proving my point.
No, I started out saying fuck the rankings.
Coming out of college, did you think Chris Webber was better than Penny Hardaway?
Yes.
Okay, so
because I didn't see Memphis like that. I saw Michigan like that.
All right. Yeah, but my point was
Webber was better or Penny was better?
He said Webber.
Okay. Because I didn't see Memphis like that. Right. I saw Michigan like that. The Fab Five. So come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. The Fab Five, everybody thought
of that. You just proved my point. Teams will analyze a player and say, all right, this is what fits with what we have. This is what can elevate us. Would Webber and Shaq work? Maybe. We don't know.
And then
but ultimately, did it make sense to go, let's go get the guard who can do everything and get our big man involved? That way Shaq doesn't have to work as hard. He's got the point guard that can get him involved.
Every franchise, no matter the sport, if you draft based on fit and not based on the best player, you're fucking up. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion.
That is not completely true, Will, because there's plenty.
But it's my opinion. It's my opinion.
All right, but like I said,
opinion. See it down there.
I gave you an example that went against your opinion. Like I said, it all depends on what you're doing with the players. We can say all we want. Oh yeah, you gotta take this guy over that guy. All right, cool. But does it make sense for what you're trying to build out? Because what you're building, like you said, isn't just this year. It's over the course of the next 4 or 5 years while I have you on that rookie deal. So do I love Acuff? Yes. But you can't tell me it would have made sense to have him play next to Trae Young when Trae Young is a ball-dominant guard and Acuff is going to have to play off the ball.
I'm saying I don't make if I see a guy that I think is going to be him, I'm not making moves based off who's on my roster right now what they're making right now. I don't give a fuck about none of that because guys move all the time.
Okay.
Contracts can be moved all the time. I never thought Bradley Beal's contract could be traded. We got rid of his contract.
I'm willing to put a bookmark on this episode. And when we speak about the NBA in December, I want to see how you talk about AJ Dubant then. Because when you consistently watch him play, you're gonna feel completely different about it. Shout out to Kyrie.
I hope so. I hope. I'm not rooting against him.
Shout out to Kyrie. This trip, I'm gonna let you start this one right here. Reeves signs 4-year, $185 million deal. Can the Lakers be contenders building around Luka and Reeves, both non-defenders?
Probably.
When did they do that?
That was today. That got announced today.
Oh damn.
The million, probably not. Because I mean, even if Braun leaves, let's just say there's no dominant defensive big man really, or just all around good big man that they could really bring in at this point that's going to change things. So I don't think so.
What you think, Will?
I actually thought, I didn't know he got signed. He was on my list of players that maybe Miami would try to go poach. But I mean, at this point, I think you got to bring him back. Like, what's your alternative? What have you done? What did you do in the draft? I did like that kid Carr. From what I've heard, that's a nice little addition. But what are you going to be able to do in free agency? You got to keep somebody. And Reeves has been he's shown you that he can be a player when LeBron's not in the lineup. So I can, and he's not going to be in the lineup going forward. Or is he? Is LeBron re-signing with the Lakers?
I mean, that's really or
is he going to Miami?
I mean, this is going to be the defining signing because with
him and Pat Riley kiss and make up.
No, I don't think Pat is going that direction. And in terms of roster construction, like we said, that would make absolutely no sense. They need more shooting.
Yeah,
they need a point guard too. And LeBron, well, this stage of his career, I'm telling you, LeBron will be an effective point guard.
So LeBron going to run point, and who's spotting up to give the floor spacing?
You can find guys. I'm telling you.
You're gonna have Giannis and Bam. You're gonna have Giannis and Bam clogging up the lane while Braun is waiting for a pick.
Well, you can find guys. I'm just telling you. Like they got to fill that roster in some way, somehow, some way.
Of course, you can find guys, but it's deeper than that. Pause. Well, you know that it's not just about finding guys. It's about finding the guys that fit with what they currently have. LeBron in Miami would make no sense because, like I said, you want Giannis on ball. Giannis is expecting to be at the top of the key with the ball in his hands, not waiting for Braun to decide what he want to do with the offense.
So who you gonna have run point? Is old boy in Houston available? That was hurt all year.
Van Fleet, if he opts out.
Oh, but he got to opt out. See.
Yeah.
Now, if he opted out, that actually wouldn't be bad if Miami could get him. I think he moves the needle a lot for that team. I mean, he's the floor general.
If they get. I mean, it all depends on how much money they're going to have. Like I said, the bigger issue for Miami is going to be what's going to happen with Norman Powell and Andrew Wiggins. If Wiggins opts in and they give Powell that money, I mean, even if they give Powell $15 million a year, that leaves them very little room to sign anybody else.
Yeah.
Where are they picking tonight?
In the second round, I got to check. But ain't no second round player coming in and starting on that team. They not trying to develop no second round player to start on that team. Well, you know that. They looking for an established guy that can play next to Giannis and them. I think the big thing the Lakers,
it's happened before. You can find some second round gems,
No, you can. We know you can find second round gems. I just don't think a second round guy this year is going to get drafted to Miami and then be a starter on that team. Maybe they develop him for next year, but not for this year.
So why are we so anti-LeBron to Miami? Because of the lack of shooting or the relationship with Bobby?
It doesn't make sense. If they're building this roster out, as we talked about with them, with the mindset of we're trying to be a champion next year, why are we investing in LeBron?
Yeah.
And trust me, I'm not trying to bring him up, but I mean, he is a free agent, right?
Well,
a big free agent.
Here's the thing. As far as the Lakers, let's just get to this. Shout out to Kyrie. you can be a contender with Luka and Reeves if you build out the rest of the roster right. We're not going to pretend that we didn't have the same question about the Knicks with Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson being defensive liabilities. But if you can find the other guys around them that are good defensive players, you can make it work. The real question for the Lakers is this LeBron situation, because now that they signed Austin Reeves, they still got about $50 million in cap space. So if LeBron is not coming back, you can make moves. You can go offer Jalen Duren a bunch of money to be your big man at the 5. You can maybe go get a Tim Hardaway Jr. You can go get a couple shooters around Luka, Reeves, and make it work. But if LeBron comes back,
do you bring Rui back?
Probably,
because Rui's up, and he's going to be costly.
Yeah, I would explore bringing Rui back. I just think with the Lakers, it's really about LeBron. It's the LeBron cloud that's hanging over their head right now. Because if he comes back and he's not taking a pay cut, then you're fucked. He's going to eat up most of the cap. And then you're not going to be able to go get the big man you need. You're not going to be able to go get the shooters you need. Like they got to move on from Marcus Smart. They got to move on from some of these older guys. They got to get younger on the wings. They got to get better 3-and-D guys. But more importantly, they need LeBron to just walk away. And if he's not going to walk away, it's just going to keep sending them back. Shout out to Henry the Man. He said Mavs hired Dusty May, and then they pick Morris Johnson, who played for Michigan. I think Dusty will go well with the Mavs.
I don't like it.
I don't like the draft pick either.
Me neither.
Yeah, you're drafting a guy who is a high energy defensive
for 1 year.
Yeah, and if you look at his role on that team, he was a high energy defensive player. They ran no offense for him. I don't like getting these 6'8", 6'9" forwards who have no offensive skill set. What he reminds me of a Kenneth Faried. Just a hustle guy who's gonna have a bunch of putback dunks. Yeah, just a bunch of putback dunks. Man. And I just don't like it. And the reason I really don't like it, I was hoping Dallas, we know they're gonna move on from Kyrie real soon. I was hoping they would have got a young guard in this situation because they don't have any young guards. They don't have any playmaking guards outside of Kyrie. Brandon Burris went in the next pick to Milwaukee. I think he would have been a better fit. But Morris Johnson, to me, it just doesn't make sense. Again, you're talking about a 6'8", 6'9" forward who has no offensive skills.
I didn't like that at all. I felt like it was more of a cute ESPN fluff story than it was anything else. Like, I hated the pick overall.
The crazy part is they draft him. He wasn't even the best player on their team, but he's the first one from their team that gets drafted.
Right. It's like, and that whole team,
the coach's favorite.
Right. And that Michigan team was full of transfers, right?
Yeah.
Only had been there for not even a calendar year.
All 5 guys transfers.
Yeah, it's not like you got some kind of deep relationship with the kid where I can feel good about the situation. Like you was recruiting him since he was 16 or something like that. No, he's a trans. Like, come on, man. And he tried to act all hype. I'm already rooting against him.
Yeah, I'm not.
In the math, I'm rooting against him already because I just don't like that bullshit fluff shit. I'm rooting against the Mavs.
Trip. Juan wants to know if you're Jaylen Brown after leading Boston all year, was in an MVP race. How do you even want to return to play for them? Rumors they still trying to trade him. Go ahead, Trip. Will, you next?
I mean, he's under contract, so it's really on them. But this is the second time now y'all done tried to trade me, so I probably feel a way about that. But at the same time, because I'm so petty, as you know, me as Trip, I'm so petty. I might come in and get Eastern Conference Finals MVP again. I might get Finals MVP again just to show y'all like y'all keep trying to trade me. I'm really him on this team. Y'all want to keep this other cat here, but guess who was the leading force when we got to the chip and when we won the chip? That was me. Guess who was an MVP candidate? Because I don't remember us talking about Tatum winning, in that conversation, but Jaylen Brown. So I might just be extra petty and just keep on, get back to winning and just show cats. But either way, if he does want to get up out of there, I would like to see Jaylen Brown as the guy on the team. I mean, we did see it this year, but I'm saying on another team.
What you think, Will?
See, this is the slippery slope that teams play when they think shit's sweet. Boston was dangling pause Jalen Brown out here like he's a bum, first of all. Like he's like, all right, who wants to take him? Anybody?
Well, hold on, dude. I don't know if they would put him out there like he was a bum. I mean, they was trying to put him in a deal for Giannis.
I mean, all right. Let me
Let's
retract.
let's not make it
They,
seem
all
like
right, let me say this. Let me rephrase it. They were not treating him with the respect of a
Befitting of a
Finals
champion.
MVP.
Fitting of a champion.
Yes, of a somebody that's won a championship for you and a Finals MVP. He was not given that respect. He was treated like he was a throwaway, in my opinion. I mean, you're getting a good player back for him when you're trying to get Giannis, but
You're getting a great player back.
yeah, but in all of that, it's like so what were we? It's like you a simp ass boyfriend at this point. Like what were we? You know?
I want to play devil's advocate though, because I do agree. If I'm Jaylen Brown, I agree with you and Trip. Like I'm pissed off, right? I've given this franchise 10 years, won a championship here, helped lead this team to 2 finals, been to a bunch of Eastern Conference finals. He was the Finals MVP. When Tatum went down, I threw the team on my back, right, and led us to the second best record in the East. On the flip side, though, just playing devil's advocate, if you're the GM, and in this case, Brad Stevens, isn't it your job to try to explore any trade that could be made? And let's not forget, there was already we talked about this before. Some of the things that was said in the offseason made it seem like maybe Jaylen Brown didn't want to be there anymore either. Mm-hmm. Like, let's not overlook that part.
Like with Jaylen Brown, it's like, for me, you're a beast on the court. You've spoken up when I needed players to speak up, and I appreciate you doing that. Like, for your activism cannot go ignored, and you speak for the people. And on the court, you play the game the right way in every way that I measure. So salute to you for the way you play basketball, and salute to you, Jaylen Brown, for the way you showed up for the people outside of basketball in situations and this bigger than basketball. But what I don't like is now, I don't know who's leaned you this way, but all this punk ass posting you've been doing, bro.
That's why I said let me play devil's advocate, because if you're Brad Stevens, they see the Twitch streams, they see what's going on, right?
This is where the disconnect happens. That's why I wanted to lead with praise, because I've had nothing but praise for Jaylen Brown. But this shit now, all this getting on, I'm seeing you on live streams crying and bitching, and this dude's behind you co-signing, and this is not the energy that I was behind before. This is not this ain't the Jaylen Brown that I thought you were.
Hold on. Well, go ahead. Yes, it was
he should have took the Jimmy Butler approach in Minnesota when he called them guys out in the practice and just started. Yes, that's what he needed to do. He just listen. It's my yard right here. All this I run. Whoever on the court, and they got to play knockout. And then, you know what I'm saying, whoever wins, that's who stays, and whoever loses, that's who go. And him and Tatum.
I think that, yeah. I mean, like I said first, like we can't pretend. The elephant in the room. Yes, they put you in a trade, but it's not like they put you in a trade for just a bunch of pieces. They put you in a trade for Giannis, who arguably is still.
Last time it was Kevin Durant. So
right, and before that it was Kevin Durant. So to be fair, Brad Stevens does think enough of you that he's not entertaining some bullshit trades. He's entertaining trades for all-time great players.
Yeah, it ain't like he's trying to trade you for Bradley Beal or somebody.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like he and so I think from that standpoint, if you're Jaylen Brown, you could be upset, but you also got to respect it and like, all right, I mean, you ain't trying to just trade me away for some picks and a bunch of throwaway guys. You trying to get all-time greats over here. I get it.
But at the same time, what have we been doing over here? Like, at the same time, what about all this sweat off my back? What about what we've been doing? You know what I'm saying?
I 1000% agree. And that's why I think
I've said this since the season was going on, and when we talked about Tatum coming back, and I said it's going to be very interesting to see who the team gravitates towards, because Jaylen Brown did exactly what he was supposed to do. Jaylen Brown, I completely tip my hat to him, because when we all thought it was going to be a throwaway year, Jaylen Brown said, "Nah, I'm gonna carry the team and I'm gonna keep us in contention." But I said when he came back, I said when Tatum come back, it's going to be interesting to see if the locker room views Brown as the leader or Tatum as the leader. Who are they going to gravitate towards?
I remember that show. I think all of us were together for that show.
We were.
Yeah.
And now a few months later, we see it is Tatum's team. It is his locker room.
Yep.
And I understand where Jaylen Brown is coming from and where his frustration is coming from. Because like you said, all the sweat off my back. I held it down. He was gone. He was rehabbing. I held it down. And y'all still won't give me my acknowledgement and my praise as who I am within this franchise. So I understand his point of view. I do think that it's time for them to separate, though. What was said at the end of the season, both these guys leads me to believe that there was deeper issues, but maybe we just didn't know about them because they were winning and they won a championship a couple years ago. But when Jaylen Brown comes out and says, "This was the most fun I had in my career," and it's like, bro, y'all got bumped in the first round of the playoffs. But then when you think about it, it's like, yeah, but you was an all NBA guy. You was in the MVP race. You know, it was your team. And then he comes out and says after Game 7, where Tatum didn't play, by the way, our strategy in Game 7, that should have been our strategy all series.
Do you feel like he's more of a 2 or a 3?
I think he's a 3.
What do you think, Trip?
He's a 3, but he can play the 2.
Yeah, he can play it. I mean, he's so versatile, but I just think he's not a pure shooter. His offensive game, like even his handle's a little choppy. So to me, I view him more as like a 3.
He's more of a scorer than a shooter.
Right. Scorer, slasher, like a Latrell Sprewell, like a better version of Latrell Sprewell.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And elite defender.
Right. Elite defender.
So I shouldn't call Boston and dangle AD.
So the crazy part is, right?
Is that what you saying?
No. The crazy part is, we talked about Kevin Durant. His name was also brought up in the Anthony Davis trades before too. Remember, before AD went to LA, Brown's name was brought up for Anthony Davis. And that's when Anthony Davis' pops came out and said, "My son will never play or resign in Boston. So don't waste your time making a trade for him."
Because see, like this whole rebuild, and we got the first pick and everything in Washington. I'm just speaking as a Washington fan. I know that's not popular conversation amongst broad sports talk, but everybody's acting like we're like putting all our chips in on this youth movement, where you do still need to have vets in there. It's like, okay, we got the first pick. We've had a couple good vets.
I did think about Brown for AD, but I think you also would have to give up more. It ain't going to be a 1-for-1.
Yeah, it couldn't be 1-for-1, but if it made basketball sense, I would welcome his type of player into my locker room because he has that personality.
I agree.
He has that dog in him. Mm-hmm. I need dogs. We don't have any dogs, man.
Let me ask Trip. I want you to answer first, and then will you go? Do you think Jaylen Brown needs to be with the team that A is his team and he's the clear-cut number 1? Or is he better suited next to another superstar where he's kind of like the 1B? I'm gonna let you go first, Trip.
I think he's better suited as the 1B. However, in Boston, because I do feel like him and Tatum do a lot of the same things, I think that's where some of the issues come in. And the reason I say that is because I was watching the Orlando doc. In fact, we was talking about Weber earlier, and one of the things that Shaq was saying is why he didn't want them to draft Weber because they do a lot of the same things. And he was like, "I'm getting mine, so what he gonna do? Go get Penny and bring Penny Hardaway in because he just want to run and throw me the ball on every possession." So I would like to see Tatum with a dominant big man.
And with that, Trip, what you just said, and that was all due because of the way basketball was played. Like if Shaq was in the league now, or if Chris Webber was in the league now, they love to play together. But back
Okay.
then, when you played outside inside out basketball, that was like you were saying, you was clogging lanes. Chris Webber, if Chris Webber played in this era, because he could shoot it,
Yeah.
he can run the floor, he can handle the ball, he can do everything that these bigs are doing now. But that wasn't basketball then. You know what I'm saying? And if you put Chris Webber and Shaq on the same team now, and Shaq could just literally camp out, and you got Chris Webber running the perimeter,
Yeah.
and Penny, well, not Penny, but whoever you fill out the rest of the roster. You got Brian Shaw, you got D Scott. You know, you got guys like that.
Yeah.
You had D Scott on that roster. Dennis Scott was one of the best shooters we've seen in this league. Shout out to D Scott. A lot of people don't know about him. He was one of the best spot-up shooters in this league. If he had Chris Webber and Shaq kicking out to him, God.
Hold on. I hate to interrupt you. I just want to say this. So Sham Charania, the report just came out. It looks like Boston has already had some packages for Jaylen Brown. He's saying that's progressing.
Okay. Yeah.
And then
I ain't mad at him. Get out of here.
Brian Windhorst is reporting that the Lakers have already told LeBron if he does want to go back to Cleveland, they would do a sign and trade for Jared Allen.
Done deal.
Yeah.
Cleveland's doing
honestly,
that.
I think that makes perfect sense for LeBron. That's a situation that makes perfect sense for LeBron.
And we talked, like I think you guys have talked about it. We talked about it like going back to last year, going into this year. The only thing that made sense, because he's going to want that farewell tour. Who's going to give it to him better than the Cleveland Cavaliers? And who else? Especially now, look at that roster.
I'm gonna say before we get to the, on that.
I'm going to a couple Cavs games next year.
In terms of this Jaylen Brown thing, I do agree. I think his best fit for the most success would be to be the 1B next to somebody else. But I do feel that there's a part of him that wants to be the guy. And I don't blame him. Remember, he was the number 3 pick in the draft. It wasn't like this was some afterthought that was lingering on somebody's bench and didn't do much.
No coming of age.
Right. He was doing his thing as the number 3 pick, and then he kind of got pushed behind Tatum. He got pushed behind some of them other guys. You know what I'm saying? So I think he wants his own team. Don't be surprised if the Pelicans offer Zion Williamson, Trey Murphy, and a bunch of picks and see if Boston's willing to take it.
Yo, I'd take that. If I'm Boston,
I'm telling you, I think Trey Murphy is a really, really good player. He's just stuck in a situation where a lot of people don't know about him. But Trey Murphy's really, really good. He's the shooter that Boston needs.
Yeah.
Zion, I think, would be a perfect complement off of what Tatum does.
And I feel like he's figuring it out. I think Zion's finally figuring it out.
I think so too. I really think Zion is almost like he's learning what his game is in the league.
It's like he's not going to be who we thought he was coming out of Duke.
Right. He's not going to be a savior.
We thought he was going to be like Charles Barkley / like somebody skilled. I mean, no, wait. Let me rephrase that. We thought he was going to be Charles Barkley / like a big guard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like combined. He wasn't that, but he's starting to get it together.
Yeah, I think don't be surprised if that's one. This is the last question of the night. I don't know if this was Squeeze meant earlier when he was talking about Eton Thomas, but we're going to end on this one.
Okay, I need that clarification.
This is from Juan, though, so I'm assuming. He goes, what's your thoughts on Eton Thomas' comments on Jay-Z saying he left Alicia Keys solo at the Knicks parade? Will, I'm going to let you go first.
I don't know about the situation. Like what? He said what?
Eton Thomas did post this. He talked about
and I watched the parade.
He talked about Jay, the Target deal, and then he talked about Jay not showing up at the parade.
Oh, okay. Now, guess what? I had no thoughts about. Like I said, I watched it live on NBA TV, the parade, and I remember when Alicia got on the stage. I wasn't expecting. I didn't know what to expect, and she had on the black Pelly joint, the Knicks custom joint. It was crazy. Is I'm at work watching this, and Kat had on the colorful Knicks joint that Fab had, you know. But then Alicia Keys came out with the all black joint with the rhinestones, and I was like, hey, that's colder than, because my man I work with, he's from up there. He a Knicks fan. I was like, that jacket right there is colder than the joint Cat had on. And we rocking out to Alicia Keys. Like we turning up at work, we rocking out. Guess what we never thought about the whole time? And he a Knicks fan, diehard, and I'm just a fan of basketball and music and Jay-Z. Guess what we never thought about the whole time? That Jay-Z wasn't there. He was with a customer at the time. I was like, hey, yo, Alicia Keys right now live doing the New York joint. We watching it on the 88-inch. I mean, the 98-inch. We like, you know what I'm saying? It was a vibe. Neither one of us were worried about Jay-Z being there. So, like, why is that an issue? Like, is Jay-Z the man? Is he Mondami? Like, why do we need Jay-Z up there in that moment? In that moment, I'm not a New Yorker, but I enjoyed the moment, and in that moment, I didn't think about Jay-Z at all.
Trip.
So, a couple things. You know, first and foremost, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yep.
Because I've seen how many people. Oh, Jay-Z was at the Garden watching the game. Okay, so you don't want him at the game, but then you want him to be performing on the float during the parade. You know what I'm saying? One, yes, he did leave technically her solo, but we don't know what Jay-Z was doing as to why he was not at the parade. Because I'm sure Jay-Z found out when the parade was going to be like everybody else. So if he had something else to do,
right? If he had prior engagements,
yeah, like come on, like we're not gonna do that. I mean, we know this is the I Hate Jay-Z club, where anytime we say something about Jay-Z, we gonna say it. But come on now,
Trip is 1,000%. Trip is 1,000% correct, because, and Will, you are too. But first off, do we even know if Jay was invited? Like we talking as if Jay turned down the invitation. What if he just never was invited? Right. Secondly, we're not going to forget. She has
performed the song without
by herself. She's performed it, right? Because even if you listen to the verses she's sang, those are her verses away from Jay being on the song.
Yeah.
So, plus, the people in attendance, were they there for Jay's verses, or do they know the chorus?
They know the chorus.
You know what I'm saying? Let's stop playing.
This is something that if we ever get the chance to speak with Etan, I would like to ask him too. And let's not forget that James Dolan and Jay-Z are business rivals. Jay-Z impeded on his territory when he brought the Brooklyn Nets into the city. So it's very possible. It's very possible that
this all comes back to the Dolan. I mean, hold up. This is about the.
It's very possible James Dolan extended the invite only to Alicia Keys and not Jay-Z. So
this is what Etan was talking about?
I don't know. He
said, hold on. Is this about what Etan Thomas was talking about? Like, and if so, what was Etan saying?
Well, you got to go back on his Facebook page.
He's saying,
but he was basically saying he was critiquing Jay-Z's business strategies, and in that comment, you go back on his Facebook page, because I did see when he posted it. He talked about, or I can't remember if Hoop Central posted it or if I saw it directly from Etan's page, but I know one of them had it up where Etan says Jay didn't even show up to the parade. He left Alicia Keys alone at the parade. My initial thought was, one, how do we even know Jay-Z got an invite? Two, to Tripp's point, how do we know Jay-Z didn't have a prior engagement? The Knicks won the finals on a Saturday. Mondami announced we're going to do the parade Thursday. What we think? Jay-Z just been sitting around his house waiting to get invited to the parade?
And three,
just so I can wait for the parade.
Yeah.
And three, I watched the performance. It was excellent. And I had in that whole moment, I was not thinking about Jay-Z at all.
Right. So
it was a great moment for New York City.
Bro, this is what it has turned into. It's turned into, we hate Jay-Z. We hate everything about Jay-Z. We don't want to support Jay-Z. So we're going to criticize any and everything he does. This is another example of it. This is another example.
Well,
we just criticize and just to criticize.
That's all it is. Because I'm not a New Yorker. I watched it live and I was like, oh shit, Alicia Keys is up on the stage. I never said Alicia Keys is up there by herself. I said, when I turned it off, oh, Alicia Keys up there. She got the blingy ass telly on. She out here fly. That was my vibe. I wasn't worried about Jay-Z being there. I'm not thinking about Jay-Z being there.
Bro, but this is what I mean. It's just
multi-platinum selling artist in her own right. Why Jay-Z leave that girl up there by herself?
and that's right.
And I've been to 6 Jay-Z concerts, like from '99 on. I rock with Jay-Z. I'm not worried about this. Now I'm not New Yorker, but I'm not worried about that. Alicia Keys tore that down.
Bro, this is what I've been trying to say, and this is what it turns into. And this is exactly the point I was trying to make on last week's pod. That these internet narratives make people look at it a certain way where there is no story.
No.
Anyway,
like if it ain't nothing to talk about, these youngins, if they ain't got nothing to talk about, they gonna still bump their gums, and that's what's crazy. All they do is bump their gums. It used to be they bump their gums, and now they bumping their knuckles on these keyboards, and it's ridiculous.
Well, give me a final thought, bro.
3 weeks in a row. Magic Mouse, check her out. Best player, best guard in the WNBA. I don't care what y'all talking about. She a rookie. She the best guard in the WNBA. Period.
That was an amazing.
Minnesota Lynx, Magic Mouse. She been here before. She different.
Trip, give me a final thought, bro.
Man, I just want to say thank you to all the supporters and shout out to my brothers, man.
Listen, Trip being very humble, so that's why it always requires me to talk extra shit.
Let me pull up. Let me put my pin. Let's get right.
People that may not understand the dynamic. My brother Trip is a very humble guy. He's not gonna pop his shit like I'm gonna pop it. Pause. But
Jesus,
we just passed 100 streams, man. 100,000 streams. 100,000 streams, man.
Oh wow, that's dope.
So when you consider that we only record once or twice a week, we ain't got no major platform backing us, ain't no major cosigns. That's just truly out the mud. That's people fucking with us, fucking with the energy. We appreciate it. We're gonna keep rocking with y'all. Make sure you guys are subscribed to Real Fans Real Talk and the Sanchez Show. As we get into the summertime and the news cycle gets a little slow, Will and I are gonna come up with content and topics, and we're gonna integrate some new things into the show. And it's gonna be love. But the comment section, as y'all seen tonight, man, the comment section was buzzing. We've been recording for an hour and 40 minutes, and we had comments throughout the night. Shout out to everybody on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Kick. I saw people on the Instagram live. I appreciate it. We definitely appreciate all the love, man. So make sure you guys are subscribed. You see the social media handles. Make sure you are following us across all social media platforms. We're back on Monday night, 7 p.m. Then next Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. From my brother Will Gordon, my brother Trip Young. I am Eric Sanchez. This was the Sanchez Show. And enjoy the rest of your night. We'll see you guys next week. We out of here.
Peace.